Did you watch Joe Rogan?
Oh, yeah, watch the whole thing. And usually I don't sit there and watch like a 3-hour thing. Though I'll give Rogan credit, his ability to be smooth and fluid in those sort of conversational interviews and still be interesting and engaging is a real skill.
Yeah.
And then what is Trump is also a master of that style of presentation, which I think some people forget because of the caricature or because of the sort of formality of public speaking and the nature of debates. But Trump has always been fantastic. I mean, see, I grew up on him on Larry King, on things like that. He was always great at that. Because as he likes to talk about it, the weave. And that's what Rogan shows are. They're just big extended weaves, as Trump would call it, where you hop over here and you hop over here, but then you come back to where the original theme was. He was very honest, very forthright, very forthcoming. He's not the kind of guy normally to say, I screwed up and here's where and here's how. That's just not in his nature. But he was very forthcoming about it. It's like, yeah, I had no idea. And I had to trust all these people and they gave me terrible people and they completely screwed me over all the way through and they limited my ability to be successful, and I'm going to fix that this time. You can see certain reflective reactions. Like, he was like, well, aren't people concerned about Robert Kennedy being a key part of your administration that have power in the Republican Party? He's like, oh, yeah, of course, there's a whole bunch of them. He goes, but I don't care. And if you knew Trump, that's one of the most deeply honest statements that are out there. Yeah, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Not going to faze me. There was so much memeable material. It reminds me of Tucker interviewing Putin. Putin is probably one of the most knowledgeable, informed, intelligent foreign leaders out there. He can do any kind of format.
I don't want to say they get dumber towards the West, but we did end up with, you go like Trudeau and Biden, or Jagmeet Singh and Kamala Harris. Then Keir Starmer. That dude's as dumb as a doornail. He's as tyrannical as well.
They just can't last. They're part of the permanent professional class, political class, that has risen to power in these very confined ways that can't do this kind of communication. And Trump is like Putin in that regard, two ways. One, he can do any style of format. It doesn't matter. Short, long, extended, structured, unstructured, it's irrelevant. He can do all of them and excel at them. But the other thing is he's extraordinarily knowledgeable, and he has a key trait that I always encourage people. It's like if you find people that are uniquely intelligent in a certain kind of way, it's because they're curious, right? You'll discover that's a very common trait in people that have unique kinds of intelligence. You look at Trump, he would repeatedly ask Rogan questions. And you could tell he was curious. What do you think about this? Where does that come from? What do you remember the UFC guy? Right? Because you don't always see that side of Trump's personality in the formalized, structured political environment. So people got to see a different side of Trump. People got to see how incredibly well informed he is on a ridiculous stuff. Well, he's conversant on an absurd number of topics.
Well, that's the thing, like people take for granted. Oh, he was just a business developer, real estate developer. He's an idiot. 6 bankrupt companies. He starts talking about the consistency of cement and how you have to lay cement and why why that stupid skating rink took so long to build. Amazingly smart. Where like most people don't even know that those are questions that you have to ask. And then when he started talking about Russia, and he's like, if I'm in power, the crude oil doesn't go up to a price where it finances this war in the first place. And I try to get that past Kamala Harris's thick skull. She'll have no idea what the hell he's even talking
about. When she reviews it, she looks at it and says, oh my goodness, there's too much gendered language in here. Literally, that's what she did. She read intelligence reports and demands they go back in and change the gendered language.
It's beyond Dunning-Kruger. It's just absolute stupidity. But
if Harris wins, I'm going to have to build a bomb shelter because of how stupid they are. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like you're trying to escape from persecution. No, they're going to get us all killed because they're morons. No, it's Trump's key point too, which was dead on accurate.
No, and I had to go back. It's like he says he talks about the crude oil. He talks about Putin financing the war because of the increase. And I go
why California doesn't have water. And then like some of the memeable moments, he was like, I want to be a whale psychiatrist. And he explained like the whales and the windmills and how the two things interact and all the rest. And so like some of the memes that are coming out, like after Putin's interview with Tucker, some of the memes would be like, a deep dive into the Lord of Rings or a deep dive into some random part of medieval history. They would have Putin answering these questions as the memes. Now all those are with Trump. No, you don't understand, Joe. You have to fight the dragons here to go over here. See, so
Robert, it
was striking. I was like, it's directly parallel.
I mean, AI is it's revolutionizing memes and humor. Let me see. There was another great one. I'll see if I can pull it up.
But you're fantastic. New audience. You can see Rogan's come around. I mean, the slow, steady conversion of Joe Rogan was representative and reflective of his audience. Younger, working class independents of a diverse background, racially, religiously, regionally, who were divorcing from the Democratic Party's inanity and insanity. And Trump made himself accessible and funny and all the rest. I mean, the windmills are driving him crazy. But only Trump. Can you imagine Kamala Harris doesn't even know what that's about? And like the Democrats' criticism of this, people like that idiot Kyle, whatever his face is,
Kyle Kalinske.
Yeah, he's become a total loser. You know, he's now like a poor man's Matt Taibbi. And they couldn't even process how successful it was. So they pretended it was terrible. And it's like, okay, you're just discrediting yourself in this process.
It was at 30 million views last I checked earlier this afternoon. Yeah, 30 million views now.
It's going to be the most one ever, because I think the most one ever before this was on 65 million. This one within a year will be the most viewed, downloaded podcast in world history.
It's an amazing thing. Like, you watch it, it's 3 hours unscripted, and you look at Trump and you say, but he's like a happy, jovial grandfather, but not a senile buffoon who knows
who knows why California has a water problem in a way that was the first time I'd ever heard that described.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who lived in California for many years. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, it was brilliant. And he's absolutely right about the bureaucratic state. He's like, the bureaucratic state is a shakedown operation. That's all it is. He goes, the environmental guys make sure there's a bunch of rules and legislation and restrictions passed to force you to give them money to get the permit.
It's the same thing.
Nothing to do with the environment.
The same thing to do with the practice of law. Like, they make it not understandable, so you have to get a lawyer to figure it out. And they make like when he talks, it's like, yeah, I'll get you the fixer, the guy who can get you through all the paperwork, and then it stifles and innovation. Him talking about the windmills was also just stuff that people don't know, that killing the birds, not biodegradable. They have a lifespan of 10 years. After that, you got to bury them. Everybody has to watch it.
Just cover random cross section was fascinating. And notice he knew certain people that Rogan is close to, like Elon Musk, Robert Kennedy,
Dana White.
Founder, Dana White. And notice Trump went out of his way to praise all those people.
Yep.
Right. He praised Rogan throughout. He found ways to praise each of those three people. Talking about, how great is Robert Kennedy, how great, that Dana White's always been a stand-up guy. And those other aspects as well. So, I mean, it was Elon Musk. He was like, look at it, man, the dude can catch a rocket. He can catch a rocket. I was watching that thing, and that thing was about to blow. And he goes, no, he can catch a rocket out of space. And explain how Starlink would solve the problem that the Biden administration spent $40 billion on.
Yep.